I am Dr. Rachael Hamp, and I am a postdoc in planetary geochemistry with astrobiology OU. I study icy moons, and I look at an icy moon called Enceladus, which is an icy moon of Saturn, and I look at the ocean composition on this moon. So it has an entire global ocean, and I try and determine what that chemistry is and whether or not that means it could potentially host life or not. Icy moons are super cool. So they are currently one of the places in our solar system that we think could actually host life outside of Earth, which is really cool and exciting. But what makes them really exciting is that if we were to find life on these icy moons, it's likely that it was formed there all independently from Earth. And that means that life has managed to get started in our solar system in two different places. And it just means that life could potentially be everywhere. There haven't been too many missions to icy moons yet. There's been a few missions that have just kind of flown past icy moons. There was one mission, the Cassini mission, which finished in 2017, which was a NASA-led mission. And that has provided us with the most amount of information, what we know so far. So it was this mission that went to Enceladus, and it found these plumes squirting out of the South Pole, which was super exciting because it is literally the ocean material on this moon being sprayed out into space. And this mission managed to fly through the plumes. So we actually know information about the ocean composition without ever having had to land on this moon. But so far, that is really the only mission that has given us substantial information on icy moons. So there are a few really exciting icy moon missions coming up. So we have JUICE, which is to be launched in 2023. And that is an ESA-led mission, so the European Space Agency. And that is going to the icy moons of Jupiter. And it's predominantly looking at Ganymede, which is a really, really big icy moon that's actually bigger than Mercury. And it's also going to do flybys of Europa and Callisto. And there is also being launched next year in 2024 a NASA-led mission called Europa Clipper. And that is going to look at Europa, which is probably the most exciting icy moon of Jupiter. And it's going to look at whether or not there's kind of what sort of chemistry there is on the ocean surface and whether or not Europa could host life. And then there's one more mission, Dragonfly, which is a NASA-led mission, and that's not going to be launched towards the end of the 2020s. And this is probably the mission that I personally am most excited for. So this is essentially a small helicopter mission that looks a little bit like a dragonfly that is going to Titan, which is the largest moon of Saturn. And what's really cool about Titan is it has surface lakes made of methane, but it's also covered in organics all over the surface. And Dragonfly is going to fly around the surface to loads of different locations and analyse the surface composition. And it's the first time that we're ever going to put something on the surface for a substantial period of time on one of these icy moons. The missions that are going to be launched kind of in the next decade, because they're going out to Jupiter and Saturn, they actually take quite a long time to get there. So some of these missions won't actually arrive until early to mid 2030s. So in kind of the next 10 years, the understanding that we have of these moons is going to substantially grow when we get the data back from them. I hope that within the next 30 years or so, we may be able to see a mission that goes to land on either Enceladus or Europa, which are kind of the two icy moons that we as scientists currently believe are the ones that are most likely to have life, if any of them do. But I think our knowledge of these moons will substantially increase in the near future, and we'll have a much better idea as to what's going on. I'm very excited about the missions that are about to be launched and the data that we're going to get back from them. There is so much that we currently don't understand about these moons. So apart from Cassini having been able to investigate Enceladus, we have really limited information, and everything we currently understand has kind of been extrapolated from that one mission. So having 3 independent icy moon missions going to different icy moons in different parts of the solar system, I'm really excited to see the sort of data that they're going to bring back. Whilst these missions that are going are really exciting, we are not entirely sure quite what we're looking for yet. So whilst it's great that we're going to collect all of this data and hopefully we will understand what it is that's going on, at the moment we aren't entirely sure what chemistry is going to be going on, and when we look at this data, whether or not we can interpret what it actually means. So there's still a lot of unknown questions, and hopefully these missions will be able to answer that, but I imagine it will be a lot of work for those scientists to work out exactly what is going on.